It's finally here, folks. Game week. The Big House should be rocking Saturday, noon Eastern, Michigan, Western Michigan. It's Jim Harbaugh's 7th season at the helm. Give me a score prediction down in the comments. I'm going to pin this below the video, get things rolling. I'll put my prediction down there as well. Go down, comment while this little show intro starts rolling. We'll be back with Michigan football news and a big-time announcement on a 5-star recruiting visit. It's all coming up on the Michigan Football Report right now. We are presented by Magic Spoon Cereal, the tastiest but healthiest cereal in the game. Magic Spoon is giving you $5 off your first order if you use that link below me here, magicspoon.com/GoBlue. I'll also link it down in the video description and the comments. No sugar. It's super tasty cereal that is healthy for you. magicspoon.com/GoBlue. All right, it's game week. We are going to talk some recruiting. We are going to talk the quarterback battle, the defense, a little bit of announcement on the defensive coordinator, and potentially a big position switch here leading into this Michigan-Western Michigan game on Saturday. Number one, though, started off with recruiting Domani Jackson out of Mater Dei in Santa Ana, California, just outside of L.A. He came to the state of Texas, where Chat Sports Studio here is located. Duncanville High School put on a show. The number one team in the country, Mater Dei, really took it to Texas Power Duncanville. And then what came out after that is he is going to be in the building. He is going to make an official visit to Michigan in 2 weeks on Saturday, September 11th. He's going to fly in. He's got a game on Friday night, I think I read. Flies in Saturday morning, is going to stay because he's got 48 hours or so for an official visit, potentially till Monday. Will Johnson, 5-star Michigan cornerback, will be in the house as well. So you have two of the top 3 cornerbacks in the country in the house for Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. And this night game that if Michigan looks good, even if they look decent against Western Michigan, the atmosphere, just everything about a night game at Michigan will be so at a fever pitch that Domani Jackson will come in, and if Michigan, I'll tell you what, folks, if Michigan can beat Washington in this game, and he's willing to make an official visit this early in the process during his senior season, not wait till after the season, not wait till the Ohio State game when maybe Michigan doesn't have as good of a chance of winning the game. If you beat Washington, I think there's a good chance that Michigan really increases their odds to land Domani Jackson. Would have 2 top 15 players in the country at the cornerback position for this 2022 class. A class that is not as high-end on talent as maybe some of us expected early in the process, and certainly with bringing these recruiting-focused staff members, I'm not sure what to expect the rest of the way. But that is the word. Domani Jackson visiting Michigan, visiting Ann Arbor next week for the Michigan versus Washington game. If you like these videos, if you want more Michigan football videos and highlights and everything that the Michigan Football Report brings to the table, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It is youtube.com/Michigan TV. We're only a couple hundred behind Michigan Podcast. They jumped us in the offseason when we weren't looking, but nevertheless, with your help, hit that sub button. We'll beat them by probably by the time Western Michigan game is over on Saturday. Cade McNamara, though, our number 2 story on today's show, he is your starter, and this is not a surprise at all. But Jim Harbaugh officially named it because it's game week, but he told the media, we told you 2-3 weeks ago, after about the second week or so of fall camp, that McNamara was going to be your starter against Western Michigan. This is a tight battle, all right? Very tight battle. It seemed that J.J. McCarthy kind of came on down the stretch, and in some ways, seniority won, right? If all things being equal, maybe you give it to a younger player in certain situations, but in this year, seniority leadership seemed to win. Cade McNamara more of a vocal leader at this point. So he will take the first snaps. If Michigan gets a couple touchdown lead, 3 touchdowns in the second half, I expect to see J.J. McCarthy at some point in this game. Where are you going to watch the game from on Saturday? I'm going to be watching here from work. Not going to really travel to as many Michigan football games this season as I normally would. And I'm going to watch it at work. I'm going to do a post-game show for you. So if you're at home, if you're on the road leaving the game, make sure to tune in here to the channel. We'll have a post-game show for you within minutes of the Michigan-Western Michigan game being over. So let me know in the comments. You watching it at home, you watching it at a friend's house, at a bar, at your parents' house, at your girlfriend's house, whatever it is, you go down in the comments and let me know. While you're doing that, I'm going to let you know more about Magic Spoon Cereal, our presenting sponsor. Great flavors. Frosted, cocoa. They've got what they have, peanut butter. My producer Jeremy is a big fan of the peanut butter. I love this one, fruity. It is awesome. It is great tasting cereal, just like the stuff you got as a kid. High in protein, but the most important thing, it is low carb and no sugar, folks. No sugar on this stuff, so you can eat this sweet and delicious cereal. And you're going to love it. As you see on the bottom of the screen, it is guaranteed. Go to magicspoon.com/goblue. You get $5 off your first order. And believe me, you're going to be in the comments here coming up once your order saying, James, I love me some Magic Spoon. So thank you for all of you who have supported our sponsors, keeping the show going and keeping the production team behind the scenes, making sure that they're supported. magicspoon.com/goblue, $5 off your order. Trust me, you're just saving $5 in here because I am hooking you up with the best cereal in the game. Number 3 story today, it is quarterback Bizarro world. Joe Milton, a guy who couldn't last more than a couple games as Michigan starter. I think he was ended up being starter for 5 games last year, but was pulled, in the Rutgers game, and then had to come back once Cade McNamara got hurt in the Penn State game. He is the starting quarterback at Tennessee, where he transferred, didn't have to sit out because of the new rules and everything. Joe Milton is your starting quarterback for the Tennessee Volunteers. And frankly, if Milton ends up thriving, if he has a good season, if he looks good, yikes for Jim Harbaugh and Josh Gaddis. Last year at this time, Michigan thought they had Joe Milton. They thought they had certainly Dill McCaffrey. You thought you had Cade McNamara, and you thought you had all those guys coming back for this season and maybe beyond, plus J.J. McCarthy. All that's changed. Milton went to Tennessee. Obviously, Dill McCaffrey didn't get the starting job. He decided just to opt out of the season. Puzzler in general. I'm not sure why he ever did that. And now Cade McNamara is fighting off J.J. McCarthy to be your starting quarterback. So I think it's going to be telling. Brandon Peters never turned out to be much of a star at Illinois. He's still struggling. He's there as a 6-year player. If Joe Milton succeeds down in Tennessee, if he's better than expected, better than the guy as they had last year, I think it is a damning thing on the resume of Jim Harbaugh, Josh Gaddis, and frankly, Ben McDonald, who was the quarterback coach here for the last few years. Predict the score one more time. I remind you, go down in the comments. I want to know which one of you guys knows this Michigan football team, knows Jim Harbaugh. Heck, maybe some Western fans knows this Western team the best. Go down, predict the score. Let me know, of course, who's going to win. Don't just assume that Michigan's going to win, so you don't have to say, I predicted Western's going to win or something if the upset were to happen, which we don't expect it to, but Western is not a terrible team. So predict the score in the comments. Next story today, Mike McDonald. It's number 4 of 5. They announced it today. He's coaching from the sidelines. If you've seen him, he looks like he spends a lot of time in the weight room. He's one of these football guys. He looks good in a short sleeve shirt. So out there in the 90-degree weather in Ann Arbor on Saturday, he'll be looking like a tough guy. He'll be getting down there, pounding shoulder pads. And I'm glad that he's down there because I think when you get a new guy in the job, we all saw 2 years ago, Josh Gaddis was up in the booth for the first few games. Offense was a complete disaster. Mike McDonald being on the field, being able to talk to players right after every play, after a defensive possession, I think is a very good sign. If you haven't yet, though, I'm on a 10-day self-imposed Twitter ban, taking a little bit of break before the season goes, getting back on Thursday as I'll be back to my non-stop tweets about Michigan football, college football with the Big Ten season getting underway. I guess it did with Illinois and Nebraska, but Ohio State's playing Thursday. I'll be tweeting about them. Keep your eye on the Buckeyes. It's at James Yoder. Also down in the comments and the description. If you forget, go follow me on Twitter for Michigan football news and rumors 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Number 5, our last story on today's show. Jim Harbaugh talked to the media today, and he basically said, we've got 3 starters at cornerback, right? Gemon Green, DJ Turner, and Vincent Gray. Vincent Gray really struggled on the stretch last year after getting the starting nod early on. Ambry Thomas didn't decide to play last year, so Michigan was down a starting cornerback. But he's naming 3 starters for 2 cornerback roles. If you have 3 starters, I don't know, man. I'm kind of saying you don't have 2. It's that old adage, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have 1. If you have 3 cornerbacks, you don't really have 2. And I think some of this will come in. I'm connecting dots here. There's no inside information or anything. I'm connecting dots is that I think very strongly that Daxton Hill, due to the emergence of R.J. Moten at the safety role, he will play a lot of cornerback. Some nickel, right? 2 of those 3 guys we just showed you will play on the outside. Dax Hill will come down as a nickel. He'll start making plays. Maybe he'll have a little bit of playmaker abilities like Jabril Peppers did a few years back. We'll see. I'm sure they'll put him on the outside. especially with teams with really strong number 1, number 2 receivers, because the guys that are on the team in the quarterback role really struggled last year, folks. How many? 3 out of 6 games the opponent put up over 300 yards passing. So I think that's what we're going to see. Maybe it doesn't play out in the first game because Michigan should overmatch this Western Michigan team. Maybe save that for Washington. But I think as we go in the next few weeks with Jim Harbaugh saying we have 3 starting cornerbacks, I think that means you don't have 2. You still have a need, and I believe Daxton Hill will fill a big part of that need for Jim Harbaugh going into year 7. That is all we have for today on the show. One more reminder. Go ahead, if you love Michigan football, subscribe to the channel. It is youtube.com/Michigan TV. As I promised, it's Monday. Tomorrow's Tuesday, last day of August. We'll be back on maybe tomorrow, but starting Wednesday, I've got a video for you every single day of the season. So make sure to subscribe to the Michigan Football Report from Chat Sports. Until tomorrow or Wednesday, go Blue.